This is Force 13's update on Hurricane Irma, which is currently moving through the eastern Atlantic as a Category 3 storm with winds of 120-mile-an-hour winds. There's the live view from Force 13 HQ, but let's take a look at the graphics presented to us by David. I'm Nathan Foy. I'm quite unwell at the moment, as you may have gathered, and that's been the case for a few days, which is why I've not been around. But myself and David will talk to you about this storm for a few moments as it progresses towards the west and is on another bout of intensification after reaching its first Category 3 peak yesterday, and is now stronger than it was during that first peak after an eye-wall replacement cycle. Further intensification is expected over the next few days. National Hurricane Center think it will reach Category 4 in the next 5 days. We think that could happen sooner. David, what are your thoughts?
Good to be here with you, Nathan. And Irma has taken everybody by surprise. In addition to the updates that I've been doing for Nathan, this is going to possibly turn out to be a very historic system. This will need close monitoring, especially down there in the eastern Caribbean. So we have various floaters on the...
Its potential is well up in the air at the moment, but some models are suggesting that it will cross through the Lesser Antilles, the Leeward Islands in particular, as a Category 4 storm. The HWRF in particular right now is saying that it will pass through as a minimal Category 4 storm after coming down from a peak of around 145 miles an hour. Other models such as the HMON think it will move a bit further north than that and just miss the islands, but it appears at this moment in time, over the next 5 days, that the Lesser Antilles could be in some peril. And I don't know if we could just skip over already actually to the National Hurricane Center graphic, David, so that we can have a look at what they're predicting. That's the latest update as of 5 PM Atlantic Standard Time, 10 PM here in the UK, 9 PM UTC on September 1st. And as you can see, it's expected to curve southwest and then move back towards the northwest on early next week. And some models hinting the possibility of the storm actually moving a little bit further south of that projection over the Leeward Islands and potentially over the Greater Antilles. So some amount of uncertainty over where the storm's going to go in long run. But what is pretty assured is that it's going to be a major for a vast amount of that time, and it could affect many of those islands significantly. There won't be any warnings put into place for a few days yet, until the other side of the weekend probably, or Sunday maybe. But there we are, Irma right now, 120-mile-an-hour winds already, and looking pretty good on the satellite. I don't know if you could get another one of those satellite views up. Have we looked at visible yet? Do we have visible? Well, there's the infrared view. In fact, it's been looking in the last few frames. You can see how the eye has been re-emerging, the new one that it's been forming. And at the moment, the eye temperature is around -1 Celsius, which is a very good indication of a significant, well, a major hurricane, really. When the eye temperature gets into the positives, then you're looking at a more intense storm, especially if it's got the cold cloud tops to match.
I'll just see if I know. Sorry, I haven't got the visible. We can go to the 850 millibar vorticity, and you can clearly see where Hurricane Irma is.
And a few other spots on that map there indicating what's left of Harvey over Tennessee, it would appear, and what's left and what's still going of Tropical Storm Lydia, which made landfall on the Baja California Peninsula earlier today, I gather. But you can see Irma's still a long way to traverse over the central Atlantic.
And Nathan, I'm also keeping an eye on possible another wave coming off the African coast, but there's the latest wind shear. And
I just want to
Nathan,
pick up on that. The National Hurricane Centre indicating there's a 60% chance in the next 5 days of another wave behind that developing. Behind
and
Irma.
this is, yes, and the hurricane season is really in full swing, but one can't ignore what's happening due to Harvey. But the upper levels, what is it, anticyclone, the area in yellow, very, very strong over the Atlantic, but wind shear really isn't a issue. Do you agree, or could?
Yeah, if it follows the track, wind shear doesn't look like it's going to enter into the high ranges anywhere along for the next few days. And you know, and there's another there's sort of like all of the models together there. You can see how most of them follow that curve to the southwest and then towards the northwest, and uncertainties about where it goes after the Leeward Islands, whether it will go towards the Greater Antilles or whether it will reach the Bahamas, whether it will affect the east coast of the United States, or indeed whether it will recurve much sooner and go towards Bermuda. So a few analogues springing to mind. I know that Igor has popped up a few times, possibly even an Isabel, you never know. And let's hope not. But Irma certainly has the potential to become a strong Category 4 or even a Category 5 in the next 5 days onwards. Whether that actually verifies remains to be seen, but it's already more than halfway there, reaching Category 3 intensity. Sea surface temperatures, of course, will be there for it all the way, pretty much. In fact, it's probably it's in the worst patch right now for it, by the looks of things, with sea surface temperatures only around marginal. But they will increase.
Yes, I support that.
Any finishing comments, David?
For the leeward, westward islands, I think it will be probably Tuesday or earlier, Nathan, before we'll start to see local advisory warnings put in place. I think we'll see.
Tuesday's when they'll be seeing the effects of the storm if it passes close. You'll be looking at maybe into Wednesday, but it'll be around Sunday, Monday at the very latest to see the warnings start to be initiated.
Yes, I was thinking of that, so I'm supportive of that. So the scene is going to become more intense. Irma could be upgraded to a Cat 4 hurricane within the next day or two.
Well, the National Hurricane Centre don't think so, which I find interesting, considering how it looks right now. It remains to be seen, but it looks like it's going to remain a major hurricane for quite some time. That's certainly what they are saying.
And Nathan, I should also mention that recon flights are planned, and I believe it's the NOAA planes that will be going up first. All
right. Well, that was our update on Hurricane Irma. We'll have more updates throughout the weekend, probably most of them coming from David, who has been a very capable person for me during the last few days on the channel with the updates whilst I've been away and ill. And I've noticed some very interesting comments recently, David, that you might want to elaborate on, or I might want to elaborate on, because I think David's coverage is fine enough for us, and I think that I find it a little bit soulless, actually, that some people would discredit you. But I feel this has to be mentioned because maybe I think that your updates have been very important to people within the path of these storms, two potentially big storms, one that's already happened, one that might be on the way, and I think that they are invaluable for people in the path of the storm. And as long as we have someone here on the project doing it, David is the only one who is here most of the time, it would appear, at the moment, and so he is the one doing our updates for the time being. and we'll be sticking by him. That's all for now at Force 13 HQ, and we'll have some more updates on Irma and the rest of the storms coming up, and I'll be back when I'm better.